Call to order the City Council work session for City of East Grand Forks, June 11th, 2024. Would City Clerk please call roll?
Mayor C. Gander.
Here.
Council President Mark Olstad.
Here.
Council Vice President Henry Hinkle.
Here.
Council Members Clarence Sutter.
Here.
Ben Huttunen.
Here.
Dale Helms.
Here.
Brian Larson.
Here.
Karen Peterson.
Here.
Does determine quorum. Number 1, update on Mural at the Riverwalk Center. Ms. Ellis.
I'm going to turn it over to
Sure.
Jen since she's here.
Yes. Hello, everybody. Can you hear me okay? Good? Okay. Just a quick update on the mural process. The last time I was here, it was kind of a bring the concept and what we were looking to do at that location. A lot has changed since then, as you'll see in the rendering that we sent over. We've taken some things away and really made this more of a greetings from East Grand Forks. We just had 8 submissions come in from really all around the country, which was exciting, as far as Tennessee, Minneapolis, a couple local ones. And these 2 mural artists are from Crookston, so we're pretty excited about that. And we looked at their submission first, and we should have looked at it last because everybody fell in love with it and made us change the whole concept that we were going for. So originally when we talked about it, there was some idea of having a canoe, making it a little bit of an Instagrammable moment, a land acknowledgement statement. We've stepped back from all of that and truly just made it a greetings from East Grand Forks mural. There's a lot of different representation. The goal of these are to connect as many people as possible to them. So you'll see a little N for Northland. It was recommended that we add the Eternal Flame from UND on there. There's a green wave for your high school and a couple different things. The Black Moose, obviously, for your legendary restaurant at the Blue Moose. Just some things like that will connect kind of more people to East Grand Forks. And you'll see 2 photos. We didn't want to ask the artist to redo all of the fish that were in the center. But luckily for us, one of the muralists is a biologist and very familiar with all the different species of fish in the river, so it'll be representative of everything that flows through there right now. But we wanted to give you an example of what the level of detail that will be in that circle where all those fish are at. We've made a lot of improvements to the site itself to make it very accessible. There was an old trash can there, a random green pole. All that's been removed as of Sunday, so it should be very easy for people to have access to that for all different types of abilities. The artists plan to start on Monday. We're expecting it to take 7 to 10 days, depending on weather. If we get rain, obviously that's going to slow down the process, but they're pretty much ready to go. And this is just to provide an update of what the mural will look like.
Anybody have any questions?
It's great.
Appreciate that. Well, I guess we'll move on to number 2 then. Request for temporary pickleball court in downtown parking lot.
We are also making the request for the temporary pickleball court. With the Downtown Development Association, we know that July, during the summer months, we can see a little bit lower foot traffic, and we threw around some ideas of what we could draw more people to both downtowns. And there's a lot of pickle that happens in our downtowns, oddly enough. We've got cheesy pickles and pickle pizzas and pickle beer, and there's pickleball, which is like taking the whole nation by storm right now. So we thought, let's just have everybody come downtown and get pickled. And we thought a great location to have a temporary pickleball court set up would be your vacant parking lot, kind of behind River Cinema, where all the other events are held at. It didn't sound like there was any programmed events through the month of July, so it'd just be something that we would partner with the Grand Cities Pickleball Club on. They would come in with their equipment, set it up, have some of their games in there, kind of program it that way, and then at the end of July, it would just come right back down again. Any questions about that?
I think you said it. You're going to probably go to the northeast corner by the memorial thing?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Nice.
Yep.
Next week then.
Great. Thank you all.
Appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Number 3, consider contract extension with Countrywide. Mr. Stordahl.
Thank you, Ms. President. If you want to just come up to Rachel, you can have a seat right there. Countrywide Sanitation has been our refuse hauler for quite a few years now. Their contract is coming due at the end of June. And Rachel here, the owner of Countrywide, submitted a proposal to the city for a 5-year contract extension. I included that contract proposal along with a rate comparison of how it compares to the past contract. The last contract that the city had with Countrywide was a 5-year contract, and then there was increases along the way. Ended up being about a 12% in the refuse end of it. This contract's closer to a little bit less than 9% increase over the 5 months for the refuse. The recycling, however, there's larger increases you can see on the comparison sheet there for their services. Erica had looked and talked with some of the other surrounding cities to see how that might compare with their recycling rates, but it's a very hard comparison. Grand Forks, obviously, they have a program. They do their own refuse, but their recycling is done contracted out by Waste Management. Deep River doesn't have curbside recycling. Crookston has it once a month. They have a $6 a month fee for that one-time pickup, and then they purchase bins to sort their sort bins. Bemidji doesn't have a recycling curbside pickup. They have a drop-off site as well. And just Detroit Lakes has multiple haulers. The only one that we kind of have maybe a better comparison with would be the city of Hillsborough. Much smaller city, but they have a curbside pickup. It was $7.70. It's picked up once a month, where our recycling, I guess, is picked up twice. So that's some of the comparisons I have. And with that, I guess I'll open up the questions that any might have.
Anybody have any questions? Or if Rachel, do you have? Go ahead, Ben.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just one question. Are we required to bid this out, or can we just extend the contract?
We are not. We actually extended it the last time it came due. There was a original that we did put out. Waste Management was a hauler for quite a few years. The city chose to put it on for bid after whatever I don't know how many extensions they had. And then we put it on for bid. Countrywide was awarded. And then they extended it one time, so that was the 10 years, and this would be the second extension if the city so chooses to do it. But it's up to the city what they want to do. I mean,
I'm not like suggesting we need to bid it out. I'm just curious if this is something that we are actually should bid out or not. So, thank you.
Rachel, do you have anything to add? Or?
No, other than, it's been about 10 years since we've been hauling with the city of East Grand Forks, and I truly like hauling for the city. I do feel that our rates are in line. Like Jason said, it's kind of hard to compare, but like even in North Dakota, the recycling rates range from $5.50 up to $8.50, actually doing some comparisons. So I felt that this is about where our cost is in doing business. East Grand Forks does a lot of recycling, and you guys are just, your volumes are higher. And the fact that recycling is, 2.5 to 3 times higher to recycle than it is to landfill. And so that's where that price increase has come up. But we want to continue to service the city of East Grand Forks. We like it. We're ever so changing our trucks and so forth. Side load trucks. I just want to give you guys an update on what our trucks cost. With FET, I just was quoted a larger truck like we have on the streets here, $440,000. When trucks maybe perhaps 10 years ago would have been $250,000, $275,000. So the cost of doing business is higher, of course. I guess I just wanted to say I appreciate it, and I hope we can extend our contract with you guys.
Anybody have any questions at all? Brian? Sorry.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for putting this together. I'm curious what's leading to the increasing cost for recycling. Is it the center, or what drives that?
Right, so recycling has made a complete turnaround to the negative, right? So when we used to ship our recyclables out, we actually used to get a rebate, or we even used to get paid for it. So now we're not doing that. Now we're having to bale it, process it, ship it, and pay the market. So the cost, I'll be very transparent. The cost that we pay to ship our stuff out, just the bales alone, is $130 a ton. That does not include the processing fee or the freight to ship it out of state. And so it's just a very, recycling is just much more expensive than it used to be. And we've been struggling with this for the last three years, but we had a contract, and the only one thing that we did do is eliminate glass, which is probably the highest, most expensive thing to recycle. But even through COVID and everything else, we withstood those costs and actually took a negative in that, but we continued with the contracts. But I mean, it's like I said, it's like that for everybody, and recycling rates for curbside with processing and everything is usually around $550 to $850 a month for that. So that's about where we have to be. We weather the storm with contamination and everything else that's in the recyclables, so.
Just a follow-on question, because I'm curious, if the city was to look at, or if we were to approach this differently with more of like a separated recycling program rather than a mixed recycling program, do you think that in the long run that would be in good financial interest of the residents?
I do. We used to do that, and it just changed when bigger, larger national companies went in and said, just commingle it all and we'll pick it up. But that's how we used to pick it up on the curb. And then the commodities worth, well, it always has the same worth, but it's less. It's less having to sort and separate the recyclables. So I would say, yes, there's some benefit in that. How we used to do it is we used to actually separate it right on the curb. We'd have different bins, and then we'd dump the glass, the plastic, the cans, the newspaper, the cardboard. The problem is the trucks being out on the street and it being labor intensive, and that's why these national companies went in and changed it and said we're going to have processing facilities within, and that's how they're going to separate it. There is a processing center in North Dakota that takes it, but he's in Bismarck, and he primarily takes care of his own recyclables. But the only other company that takes most of North Dakota and some of Minnesota is Demcon in Minneapolis, but we ship ours into Canada. We take ours to Mterra in Canada, and they still accept bales. Otherwise, we'd have to ship it compacted or loose, which would drive the freight costs because we wouldn't get the weight. But yes, there would probably be some benefit to that. But you need very large, high volumes in order to make it pay to separate it, Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the information.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any questions? I see none. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks. Yeah.
Well, move on number 4, building official updated and proposed contract. Mr. Huttunen and Ms. Ellis.
Thank you, Mr. President. And yeah, Ms. Ellis can certainly piggyback on this. Since we last discussed with you probably a month ago or so about our change for our building official program, Nancy and I and Chief Bushy have had numerous discussions about the potential of bringing on or considering bringing on a full-time employee in the building official world. We do think that that's still an option that we'd like to consider, but I think the biggest thing we've learned is that in order to develop a job description, have it become advertised, have it be viable financially for us, and hire and get somebody trained, assuming that there isn't a full certified building official that would apply and be hired, we're probably looking at a 12 to 18 month lead time to be able to have that person in, trained, and fully certified. And add to that, in order for someone to become fully certified, if they need to be, they need to work underneath a certified building official to gain the hours they would need to be able to do so. So in looking for kind of an immediate response to having a building official on, and still have that potential to look at what benefit it may have for us to have a full-time city employee, we felt we were faced with we need to have a contracted building official on as soon as possible. So we did meet with a couple of different companies proposing to do that work for us. The one that we have recommended to you in the council packet tonight is based out of Newfoundland, Minnesota. He's been a building official in the state of Minnesota for about 10 years and is familiar with our region, and is picking up the contract, from what we understand, with approval from us in East Grand Forks. He's also picking up the contract in a lot of the other communities that Widseth or In-Depth was previously serving, the Warroad and Roseos and so forth. So we're proposing to move forward with TrueCheck LLC. It'd be a sole proprietor business to start, with intention that he'd be able to grow his staff as he grows the company. The rate is proposed at $115 an hour, $105 an hour, excuse me. Maybe I'm wrong again. Nancy, correct me. $115 an hour.
$115.
For building official work when he's in the community doing on the ground official work or plan review. And then we've negotiated that in his drive time, it'd be $80 an hour, a flat fee, $80 an hour for his time to commute back and forth to the community. That, I will say, when we started talking with him, they were proposing $115 an hour plus mileage. So we feel pretty good that we got it down to an $80 an hour rate. From where he lives to East Grand Forks, the national mileage would pay him about $40 one way. So we're at $40 one way plus $40 an hour for his time to drive here at the proposed rate. And we're proposing a 2-year contract that, assuming it gets approval next week, would begin on Thursday, June 20th.
Anything to add, ma'am?
Nothing other than when we visited with Midwest Inspection Services, they were also very qualified. They did have a lot of good qualities that I liked about them. The one thing that was hard for us to adjust to was that it was immediate that he would take over the entire service. Permits for certain things. We would be left with permits for other items. He had his own fee schedule. It would really be a significant change to the residents without really being able to, if we were to lean down that path, giving them the opportunity to visit about the adjustment, let us know what their thoughts are on it. And so we feel like this is a good fit for now to explore the possibility of a full-time position and see how we want to move forward. Obviously, with the increase in cost, that'll be something that we'll have to review again in terms of permitting fees, so that we can cover more of that professional service. But Brenda and I have a good feeling that we can still try to do what we're capable of doing here without bringing him down. We'll try to schedule his appointments so that he's doing inspections, preferably on certain days. We'll have maybe a little bit more active role with Public Works and or engineering, try to look at a few of these things on our own and just really kind of flesh it out. So we have 2 years to kind of get to back to where we want to review again if we do have that full-time position, or if we don't, then we'll review the consulting services again and see how we want to move forward. So,
Anybody have any questions for either one of them?
Thank you, Mr. President. So it's a 2-year contract, and it takes 12 to 18 months to get someone up to speed. So in a year, are we going to try and find someone permanent? Or like, what's the plan there? Because if we wait until the end of the 2-year contract, then we're kind of in the same place. So what's the
No.
long-term plan?
No, we're still working on trying to put together a job description, bring that back to you to see if you're interested in that full-time position, and then go out, obviously.
So what if we find someone in 6 months that's like fully qualified, that's here?
We can still opt out of the contract. It's
Okay.
just a 60-day. I mean, it's in the contract.
60-day notice. to-
60-day notice, yeah.
Yeah.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Anybody else have anything? I see none, sir. Ma'am?
Thank you.
Number 5, Quiet Zone Construction and Maintenance Agreement. Mr. Huttunen.
Yeah. Thanks again, Mr. President, council members. When we approved our Quiet Zone project back in April, there was this agreement for the Central Avenue crossing was on hold pending final review of some easement that we needed to maintain for street right-of-way running kind of parallel to the tracks between Central and 3rd Street. And that process, BNSF has been through a pretty intensive process of reviewing the easements and the legal descriptions to propose that. So that is finally complete. The agreement would be on the agenda next week for your consideration. All the contract language that was agreed to in our previous discussions a few months back is mirrored in this agreement as it was in those agreements. So it's just a matter of having the right easement documents to tag along with the C&M agreement. And with approval, we'll keep the project on schedule.
Anybody have any questions? I see none, sir.
Thank you.
Entertain a motion to adjourn. Moved by Riepel. Second by Helms. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. Meeting is adjourned.